waiting for, all right, here we go. Hi, I am Anna Livermore, founder of V.Mora, which is a company that I founded 15 years ago to help designers with anything that they need in regards of launching, maintaining, growing their business. And today we are talking about some different services that V.Mora has and how it helps, the details of what's involved, and even I'm going to tell you like the cost. I am like completely transparent with everything V.Mora, so you can ask me anything. And I feel the more transparent I am, the clearer I can be, the better suited the clients that are attracted to this program will be, or just working with V.Mora in general. So I have a little outline that I wanted to go over. So when I'm looking down, that is why. So first, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about V.Mora, how it started, how it's going, how I got from building a company from nothing. And then now we have an office in New York. We have staff in LA. We've worked with clients all over the world, hundreds of designers, and it's been a lot of fun. But it has, hi, Beth. Beth actually was with me when we started in Chicago, and I was going to get to that in a second, but Beth was one of my first employees. We had a studio in Ravenswood. Prior to that, I started in my apartment, in my living room. And then it was my living room and my spare bedroom. And then it got to a point, I think what happened was a client showed up for their 9 a.m. meeting at like 6 a.m. because they were like driving from, I think it was Indiana. And I was like, okay, I need a studio. So stepping into that space that was scary. I was going to say a little scary, but it was definitely scary. And acting as if it's part of being a business owner. It's part of the fashion industry, especially because it's an industry where it all looks pretty. It looks great. There's the fashion shows, but in the underbelly of the fashion industry, it is a lot of work. There are a lot of designers that are struggling, and they're not necessarily showing you that or telling you that. So my journey is similar because here I am, I've got the studio, I started hiring staff, and, I don't have, I didn't have a backup plan. Basically, I had no backup plan. I had no savings. I did not have an investment. I did not have parents that were able to financially support me. I had to do this on my own. And a lot of designers out there, I know you're in the same boat. You've got to do this on your own. You've got to figure it out, bootstrap it up, and put together a successful business. And it's not easy. And it's not easy to do alone. So we'll get into the startup coaching and why that's important. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I've been there. I've been through not knowing how I was going to pay rent, not knowing how I was going to make it through the next couple months, really living like the paycheck to paycheck. And it is scary. I don't know that I could do it again now. I have children. I have a husband. I'm older. I know a lot more about what I don't know. Whereas when I was starting this company at 26, ignorance is bliss sometimes, where I didn't know enough about what I didn't know to really be frightened or think that I couldn't do it. I think as you get older, you have a lot more at risk. Worst case scenario, I just thought, I'd have to move home and live with my parents as a 27-year-old. I no longer have that option, but when you're younger, you can. Anyways, the point is, like, I understand the struggle, and I understand risking it all and having to really put one foot in front of the other when there's a lot at risk and there's a lot that you're afraid of. But the startup coaching that we put together is specifically designed to not only talk about those fears, address those fears, find solution for those fears, but also keep you accountable to, like, okay, so this is the next step, and this is your homework, and this is what I expect done by our next week's call, and taking diligent notes and making you feel like it's not as overwhelming. There are worksheets and templates, and you also get a full access to all of my vendors that I've created over the last 15 years. And we break it down so that it's easy for you, so that you can be afraid, but you can still be moving forward. So yeah, that's kind of how I started. I expanded to New York on accident. One of my employees was moving to New York and she quit, and I asked her if she wanted to stay. And because at the time we were doing a lot of sourcing and had a lot of vendors in New York already, because New York is a place that has a lot of those over Chicago. So she did stay, and that developed into the New York office, and that was in 2011. So we've been in New York now 13 years. And then I moved to New York in 2015, and we've been working in New York ever since. It's been wild. I mean, the point of the coaching is to support the designers through the chaos of owning a business. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, working with us, we're going to make it so that you don't have any problems and that everything is smooth from here on out. Like, that is an impossibility that, if you're waiting to happen in your business, is never going to come. So what we do is we help you have the tools to move through those hard comings, to move through the difficult decisions, to move through whatever it is that comes up. Because I can tell you, like, through owning a company for 15 years, there's always something new, always something new. And I think, like, I've been through it all. I've got this, like, you name it, it's happened. Once you get successful enough, you have employees, work for you and then start their own companies doing what you're doing. And you've got to protect, your assets and your intellectual property. And, like, so what I'm saying is, like, the bigger you get, the bigger your problems get, right? So I had been through so much, and then COVID happened, and it's like, how can you prepare for COVID? But I did have my startup coaching clients, and we worked through COVID successfully in pivoting. That's the thing, pivot. You've got to pivot when these issues come up to stay successful. So we were able to pivot through COVID and have ready to make orders or small productions done through using home sewers. Whatever it was, they had support. They had guidance through COVID. So that's just an example of how startup coaching will benefit you. Let's see. My personal journey, I kind of told you that. So I'm going to get into what the startup coaching covers. And even if you don't plan on doing the startup coaching, take notes, because it will benefit you to know, like, okay, if I'm not going to be doing the startup coaching, at least you know that these are the steps and the ways that you can prepare for your own brand. So in the startup coaching, we have a template. I'm going to actually pull that up on my computer if you want to just give me 1 second, but I don't really know if you have a choice. You'll have to wait. Let me just pull that up. And I want to run you through like the core of the content. So the first call, and we cater this to anyone that's signing up for this startup coaching. So if there is something that you already have covered that you don't need, we just skip it. There are a million things to go over and a million things to cover. So we don't worry about it. This is a loose curriculum. It's not like this is what we have to go over. So if there's things that you've already done, don't worry about it. But the first call is getting started. And within that, we take an inventory of fear. Let's talk about your fears. What's the worst case scenario? How are you going to move through them? What are the solutions? And are you going to be okay? So this doesn't apply for everyone. Some of my clients are like, I have no fear. I feel good. I don't need to do this. Great. But if you do, like a lot of designers do, we help you with identifying those fears and what the solutions are and kind of making you feel better around having fears, but moving forward. Because if you are too fearful, it paralyzes you. So we want to make sure that that isn't going to happen. So really making sure that you've got a handle on the fears. They're always going to be there no matter what. I don't know. I mean, maybe there are some people that never have to deal with any fears, but I think it's rare, especially if you're taking big risks. You should be afraid. Then we do a 1-page business plan. It sets goals for the year. We also talk about the branding. Branding is important. So who's your customer? Those are things that you need to think about when you're starting. Then we go into the brand identity. This is where we want to talk about, we've got some exercises to help identify you as a brand, who your customer is. You want to think about logo and label, color palette, like all of these things are really important, especially in today's world where most of the shoppers are online. So it's really important that you have a clear vision for your brand. But again, like I said, don't worry about it. We have exercises, ways to make this easy. And before you know it, you have your branding together and you're good to go. The next call is we talk about the line development. So that's where the tech packs and the designs come in, the spec sheets. We start building a timeline. A timeline's really important. What is your costing going to look like? We show you a costing template. And then we get into tech packs and how to make a tech pack. Now, the coaching is you are responsible for the deliverables. So we're giving you the tools to do a tech pack. We're teaching you the terminology and how to do it, but we're not doing the legwork. You're doing the legwork. So, oh, you're welcome. So this one is specifically for, this will be recorded. You guys can listen to it later. It'll be replayed on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. So if you are going to have to run, no big deal. So we give you the tools and we'll make the introductions. And not only do we have the theory of how to do it, but we have the practice of like, how are you going to do it? And if any vendors you need introductions to for fabrics or trims or elastics or labels or any of that, you also have full access to those people. So we'll make the email intro, but then it's up to you to follow up, make those swatch requests or order the first labels. Like you're the point person for all of these relationships. We're just here to guide you. The next call is about fabric and trim sourcing. So that's where we'll get into like how to write a PO, how to present yourself professionally to these fabric vendors, what to say to the fabric vendors, what to have prepared, just like how to get what you're looking for. You know, you can't just call a fabric vendor and say, hey, I'm making women's dresses. Please send me all your fabric for women's dresses. They're not going to take you seriously. And I don't even know if they'll send you swatches. So you'll want to know the proper terms, the more specifics of what you're looking for, how to approach these vendors to take you seriously. And then obviously we're here if you need a little help. The vendors sometimes, because they know you're a V.Mora client, will come back to us and ask us like, hey, I asked them if they were looking for a knit or a woven and they didn't know the difference. Can you please talk to them about that on the next call? So things like that. If they know you're a V.Mora client, we have close relationships with all these people. If you're running into trouble, or let's say you're placing an order and they don't really know if that's what you want, they will come back to us to be like, hey, can you double check on, I'm not sure if they know it's a 45, the width is 45 and not 56. And whatever it is, they'll come back and double check with us just to make sure. So we're there helping you. The idea is that we're giving you the information and the legs to stand on so that in the future you can do this on your own. So that is just the first month. It's a month to month. You do not need to do, the program is set up for 3 months, but you don't need to do 3 months. If you only want to do 1 month, you just have to be really clear on the deliverables. So I send you a what keeps you up at night document, and you list out all those things that you're worried about, that you don't have answers to. And that's what we'll focus on for that 1 month. The clearer you can be on the deliverables, the better we can assist you and make sure you walk away being like, yes, that was the best money that I've ever invested. I am so happy that I did that, because it is an investment. It's $2,000 a month. That includes 4 calls a week and all communication in between. But you want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So being clear on the deliverables that you want and the expectations that you have, and letting us know that so that we can make sure to give those to you. So in month 2, now it's assumed you have your timeline together, you have your customer together, you have the basis of your costing, you have your fabric lined up, or at least swatches on the way, and then you've made your designs. So you've got the sketches and the spec sheets. So that's what we focus on in the first month. Now, keep in mind, this is all before you've made a sample. All of this comes before you jump in. So this is really to set you up for success. Be patient, make sure that you have all the information that you need. Down to budget. We also cover budget, like how much are you investing? How much can you afford to invest? How are you going to get the best return on that? These are all really important. They're not as fun as the designing and the making samples, but they're all really, really important. So like I said, take notes for what I'm talking about. If you aren't going to be working with V.Mora, these are the things that you need to have prepared before you start. Month 2, we get into the steps of production and educating you around what these steps are and why you have to take them, why they're important, what they mean, why you can't skip them, why they come in this order, just educating you around what actually happens and when. What is your responsibility? What is the pattern maker's responsibility? A lot of times when people come to me and they say, oh my gosh, my pattern maker was horrible. They messed up everything. Nothing fit. And then I'll backtrack and say, well, did you provide spec measurements? Did you provide your size chart? Well, no, aren't they supposed to know that? Unfortunately, no, that is not up to your pattern maker. That's you. So kind of identifying like what's on your side of the street and what's on the contractor's side of the street. You've got to set these people up so that you get a perfect sample, so you get a perfect pattern, so you get the grading rules that you want, so that you get a production that's perfect. There's a lot on your side that is your responsibility, and just educating you around that. The next call is budgeting. So now we'll have some numbers, right? Like we'll have some actual numbers for the fabric. Once you have your spec sheets, we can get quotes for patterns and samples. So going back to that budgeting and really making sure, the worst thing that can happen is you run out of money before you're able to see the collection all the way through, because then nobody wins. Like you've invested all this money, and if you don't have enough money for a photo shoot or a website, how are you going to sell it? So Numbers can be scary. I get it, but I make it easy. And we walk you through it and we give you examples. And whatever your budget is, it could be 5,000, 10,000, 150, a million, like you still want to create a budget. It's meant to be empowering so that once you know, like, well, I budgeted $1,000 on fabric. So when that bill comes for $1,000, I'm comfortable. I got it. I've built it into my budget. So we get into budgeting in call 6. Call 7 is costing. Call 8 is that timeline. So these are all more specifics. We give a brief overview in that month 1, and then we get into the specifics thereafter. Month 3. So this is the final month. So now we're assuming like you're set up with your samples, your production's aligned, you've got your fabric, your vendors. Then we get into the marketing. So the social media plan, when are you launching? What is the content? What time from the time that your production's for sale? When are you going to backtrack? So the timeline for that. And then your photo shoot. So if you're going to be your creative director, what that looks like, what goes into the photo shoot, what you want to prepare, the photo shoot deck. Again, that's not something you just want to put in the hands of your makeup artist and your photographer and hope everything works out. There are guidelines and templates and examples and ways to get the results that you want. Then we talk about marketing optimization, SEOs. What are your plans for blog writing? How are you going to pull people to your website? Because you'll need to build your website prior to your production being done. And then the last is your sales plan. So how are you selling? Who are you selling to? And are you doing wholesale, retail, trade shows, whatever that looks like? What is your sales plan? So that, in a nutshell, are all of the steps we take you through as a new designer for startup coaching. And now it's not meant to be overwhelming. If you listen to that and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so much work. We make it simple, doable. We're there with you. This coaching includes, support, all communication for the month. Obviously, it's in with business hours, but I'm not going to lie. I do talk to my clients outside of business hours, but we all like to set boundaries and have a healthy work-life balance. So, but it is all communication, emails, text messages, if we're jumping on the phone. So you will have support through this. So that is an overview of, what's included in the program. Like I said, templates, checklists, all of this. I'm extremely OCD. Anything that my clients have ever needed or asked for twice, it's like, okay, we need to create a system. We need a template. We need something that I can just give them when they ask me this. So we have so many lists, so many things. The next, just like we're giving you all of this information, but the benefit of this is more so having that support, not having to do this on your own and having someone to run ideas by, but you'll save thousands of dollars with not making common mistakes that new designers tend to make, whether it's skipping steps, investing money improperly, not setting your production factory up for success or not giving them everything that they need. When you don't have the right direction, the risk of having a production that you can't sell is a lot higher. So this is developed to save you money, not only money, but time. If you're going to do it on your own, more power to you. You absolutely can do that. I think you've probably heard me talk about this book. It has all the steps in it. There's online programs. There's a lot of information out there. So just spend your time making sure that all of those things, all of those 12 classes that I talked about today, you have a plan for, you've thought about, you've prepared for before you jump in. And that will help. We've got some clients that I wanted to just call out here. We have Bergie bags. So that is our client, Heather. I am going to just share screen. If you're on Instagram, I can't share screen, but on everywhere else, I'm able to. But her website is Bergie Bags, and they are insulated pouches. The Bergie bag leather insulated ice pack. So it's like little bags. They're super cute. The colors are really great, and you can put snacks in it. You can put makeup in it. I used it when I was pumping. It was like a little small. It was small enough that if I only had a few pumps, I could fit the milk in it in my bag. But they're really cute. She was a client that did the startup coaching. We helped her. We set her up. We gave her the vendors that she's still using today to get this production done for her labels, for her ice packs, like everything we were able to help with. And she's doing great. So that's one of the clients that I wanted to highlight today. It's Bergie, Bergy. Bag, BAG. So if you're looking for that, if, like I said, if you're not on the live stream, that is her website. But she came to us and she nothing was prepared. And we took her and we held her hand and we brought her through step by step. And you can do this too. That's the point. You can do this too. Another great client is Mary Bemis. And her company, I'm totally blanking on, but she just recently, she had started and right out of school, and she recently quit her job and now is just focusing on her brand. Actually, let me see if I can just Google her name really fast because I'm totally blanking, of course, on Reprise Activewear. So she just quit her job and now she is full-time in her brand. It took her 5 years. So that is bootstrapping it. She had a full-time job while she was doing the Reprise Activewear for a long time. So I know a lot of clients and myself too. When I started V.Mora, I was a waitress and worked at a bar because I couldn't afford to just have a company, just start a company. I needed to have another job. And a lot of my clients have other full-time jobs, and this is their side hustle. And that is fine. We can help you, your goal. And Mary she came up to me at a trade show, I think it was last year, and was like, I quit my job. I'm just doing Reprise Activewear full-time. So it's really exciting. Congrats to Mary, but you can do it too. You just want to be prepared if you're bootstrapping it and you're, using the money, reinvesting the money, just like doing it slowly while you have your full-time job. It does take more time because you don't have that, $250,000 to invest in digital marketing and advertising and shows. And that's okay. That's okay. You can do this too. So you just have to be a little bit more patient. I think I was going to say I quit my job. I didn't. I got fired. I got fired from all my jobs, but I got fired from my job. I started V.Mora in 2008. And I think by 2010, I think I got fired. Maybe it was somewhere around there. I got fired. And that's when I was like, all right, I have to make this work. And that kind of fire under my butt made it where it was like, I don't have a backup plan. It's make it or break it. So yes, it's okay. You can do it too. So those are just 2 clients that we've worked with, but there's been many, many, many other clients. And then I'm just going to go over some frequently asked questions. Like I said, it is a month-to-month contract. If you can only do 1 month, that is fine. Just be as clear as possible on the deliverables so that we can get those to you. The cost is $2,000 a month. There's calls every week, communication in between, emails, templates, access to our full network. The goal is to make sure that you walk away being like, best $2,000 I ever spent. I've gotten loads of vendors. I know what I'm going to be doing. I have a plan. I feel empowered. I can do this. And this program is best for, I would say, designers that are serious and they're ready to go, because this program is designed to, you are to be taking these steps as we go, right? Like we'll give you fabric vendors, we'll send you emails, we'll make the intros, and then you're ordering swatches for your fabrics. We're going to give you patterns and sample estimates, and then you'll be creating your patterns and your samples. So it's not, if you're just in the rounding up, absorbing information, again, this book, my online programs, my production qualifications course, those are great places for collecting information. But this program is specifically designed to follow along with taking these action steps of launching. So be prepared. We keep you accountable. We give you homework every week, and you will have steps taken and your production started by the time, well, it depends on how long we work together, but that's the goal, is like to have us be there while you're actually creating your collection. Let's see. Okay. I have some other notes. Weekly calls, email support, the access to all of our resources. That one's big because these are vetted resources. There are a lot of companies or people out there that will teach you how to launch a clothing line. Wonderful. They're wonderful. But they're not actually being like, call this person, connect with this person. I'll make the email intro. This is who you need to do your patterns and your samples and your production with for this amount, for this type of clothing in this minimum. These are the people we would recommend because we're doing production with them currently with other clients, and they're amazing and they're meeting deadlines and they're giving us a quality product. So it's really, really important that if you are investing the money, that you're guaranteed to have that connection to the network and the actual people that can get this done. So that is, it's really, I can't stress enough how important it is. Like, you can learn all of this, great. You can know the steps and know you need a manufacturer, but unless you know who to go to, and now mind you, these are vetted. So the factories we've worked with, and we know they're great, that you're not going to invest money and lose money, or they're not going to just not give you your production. Because all of those things can happen when you're working with factories that aren't vetted. And again, it's totally fine. I have many clients that come to me and they tried to do a production and it didn't work out for whatever reason. And it's part of the education process of launching a clothing line, is what I say. It's okay. You can survive it. But with V.Mora, if you invest your money in V.Mora, we make sure that that doesn't happen. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you've got to be a little bit more careful about the vendors that you're pulling in, because not everyone can do what they say they can do, unfortunately. So access of the resources. And yeah, we just like to motivate you, make you feel like you can do it, break the process down so that it's attainable and easy, and make sure you're taking all the steps so that you'll be successful, whether that would be budgeting or costing or customer research or having the right pattern maker, sample maker, manufacturer. All of those things are the goals so that you can have a successful clothing line. We do have some other programs. We're going to talk about those next week and the week after. I touched on it a little bit, but this program here is, you're doing the legwork. You're ordering the swatches. You're ordering the fabric. You're writing the POs. This is you're the point person. We have what's called product development and production management, where we're the point person. You're like, listen, I don't want to do any of that. I want someone to do it for me. So we're ordering, we're writing the POs. You're involved in everything, but it's our responsibility, not yours. So we'll talk about that one next week. And then for my clients that have already been through a production, then we get into strategic advising. So we're going to talk about that the following week. So there you have it. Startup coaching. This will be recorded. Take notes of those steps. Either you're going to do them with us or you're going to do them on your own, or they're going to not get done and then come to bite you in the butt later. So just prepare, research. You can do this, I promise. All right. Thank you so much for your time today, and we will see you next week.